I'm just saying, according to your example, I would say,
Come on.
the testimony, you don't know if it's the truth or a lie. You got to trust the DNA evidence. And we believe the Quran is the DNA evidence to use your own.
Based on
Oh,
what?
that don't even make any
You know-
sense. He's saying we believe that the Quran is the DNA evidence. Do you understand what DNA is? The DNA is something that makes up the body. It helps the body function, right? The Quran is saying it's the final of something. So if anything, it's the seal. It's the last in the line of things. So the DNA would actually be the previous scriptures, the Torah, the Injil, whatever other scriptures your Quran claims to have revealed. That would actually be the DNA. It's the internal, it's the internal information that is the DNA, not the Quran, bro. The Quran is just saying it confirmed all of that came before. So you can't say the Quran is the DNA, bro. That literally doesn't make any sense.
I just liked his metaphor, and I'm saying from a Muslim's perspective, that's how we would look at that metaphor. Like, you could take this testimony, and it could be the truth, and it
But
could
can
be a
you
lie.
accept? Can you
really
accept
don't
his
know.
position though? Can you accept his position?
It's not
Of-
100% relying on his position, though. It's not
The
100%
thing is like, bro, this is like one of the dopest miracles,
But look-
honestly, of Islam. Even
But
if I wasn't religious,
debunk what he said.
Oh, man.
prove
Here
to
we go with the
me.
miracles.
Prove to me that he's not right. That the Torah, the first 5 books of the Tanakh or the Old Testament, is not the DNA. Disprove his
well,
position.
it's because we would believe it, that it's just testimony that's been, okay, so what we would see it as is just like how we see the hadith. You would pretty much take it as 100% truth unless it contradicts directly with
Based on
you
what?
have
Give me the
Quran.
litmus test. Show me the criteria, the step by step, how we affirm that this is the truth. I don't want opinions.
That's faith.
I want a
That's
method
faith.
of
That's
how we
faith.
determine
Blind
truth.
faith. It's blind faith.
Faith
It's
is
blind faith.
faith
You
is your
just admitted
belief.
it.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, faith,
So I don't
faith
think-
is not blind. Faith is not blind.
no, right. You have to
So
use
let me ask you a
logic.
question. So you work, correct?
Yeah.
You get your paycheck, correct? Next week or the week
Yeah.
after?
Uh-huh.
You have faith that you're going to get your paycheck based on the past of you getting paid for your previous work. That's faith based on evidence. So show me the
Sure.
faith on your end then of why this Quran is the DNA.
Because that's basically God's promise about the Quran was that it would be never changed or tampered with because it was memorized from the beginning. That's why so many people have the Quran memorized.
Does it not
You tell me how many
6:115 say
people
that
have
no
the
one
Bible
can
or
change
Torah
God?
memorized?
Does it not
So
say that no
that's
one
how
can
we
change
teach.
God's words?
Memorize.
Does not
People-
Surah 6
Don't do that.
115 say no one can change
People-
God's words?
People have the Quran memorized exactly the way it was came down when it was came
And
down.
the
and put
Jewish
in order
people
from the
have the
beginning.
Torah memorized.
You said what?
Who cares? Who cares
doesn't
about
make it true,
memorization?
bro.
That proves nothing.
Well, that's just
Memorization
the chain
don't
of why
prove
we
anything,
believe.
bro.
Listen, that's just the chain of why we believe the Quran is 100% from God, but the Hadith or the Bible or the Torah, yeah, we'll take that as truth too, except for where it contradicts with the Quran or Islamic logic.
Yeah,
You
we've
know what I'm
already
saying?
established how that
But
biased position
That's
doesn't
why.
work
That's
here.
why these
already-
religions are so
yeah.
similar.
But come on,
because
come
it's all
on,
connected.
come on. If you're gonna sit there and wait and say the exact same thing that the other Muslims said without actually establishing how that makes sense, then what did you wait for? We literally just had
Okay,
that
so-
same conversation. One second, man. We literally just had that same conversation with the guy, you're a fool, right? We literally just said that. We literally just exposed how that position will fail in the court of law, how that position will fail logically as well. It just does not make any sense for you to come. It's a circular argument, bro. It's I don't like what I see in the previous scriptures because it doesn't match up with what my Quran says. So when I read something here and I like it, I'm going to accept that. But then when I read the next verse and I see it doesn't really work, I'm going to throw that out. And I'm going to claim that this is the word of God. Somehow this prophet did write this revelation here, but then in the very next verse, he wrote some falsehood. So he's writing revelation from God, and then the next verse he's writing falsehood. Or in the other guy's words, he's writing 20% revelation from God and then 80% falsehood. Just who knows where he's getting all this information from? So he wrote a whole book. So he wrote a whole book with 20% revelation from God and 80% falsehood. Just made up stuff.
You believe the Quran only because your parents told you so and because you have faith in your parents, but you've never done the legwork to actually verify if what they believed is true.
I don't know. Speak for yourself, man.
When can I chime in appropriately? I've been very patient.
Humans are corrupt. That's what the belief is. That's where we believe change comes.
Except when it comes to
both
Islam,
believe in the devil, right? We believe in the devil.
Let me show you how biased. Wait, come on. Let me show you how biased this position is. Right. Let me show you how biased that statement was that you just made. I guarantee you're going to show your bias. You say humans are corrupt. That's what y'all believe. Okay, except when it comes down to the Quran in this compilation, right?
Well, it's because of the fact that it was memorized from the beginning, and we know this memorization has been maintained. Well, that's how we know.
How do you know it was memorized correctly if humans are corrupt?
It's the same. If you know how many Muslims have the Quran memorized, that's why it's a thing that people memorize the Quran.
They could have memorized it incorrectly.
Can I come in, please, brother? Can I come in one time? I've been very patient. I hate to speak over people, but I've kind of hit my limit. So I just want to establish a couple of talking points to assist the conversation. Just some things I felt that were left out, and I appreciate you guys giving me the time. So one thing that, with regards to the hadith, one thing about the collective amount of information is we can collect the weak hadiths and do not discard them just to confirm that there's no like bias or ill will. We even tell people like these are the ones that are known from quote unquote liars. People have been known to lie. So that kind of removes the bias confirmation, if you may. Real quick, before we stray on to that point, another thing is regarding what they're talking about with the Quran, the people that memorize it, you have to go down a chain of narration, and the people that are included in the chain are people that are considered hafiz. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but basically people that are like memorizing it, and then they had to memorize it from a specific teacher, and those teachers do go all the way back to the time of the Prophet specifically. So as long as you're within the authenticity of the chain, no two people within the chain who are still alive today using the same exact linguistic Arabic will pronounce anything any differently. The meaning be different.
That's fine, but you missed the whole point of what they were trying to say. Even though it goes back to Muhammad.
Hold on, real quick.
Hold on. I wasn't.
Albie,
not that I wasn't done.
Echo, Albie.
But wait a minute, you said a chain of narration.
Well, you're a little late.
No, I know.
A chain of narration to Muhammad. But show us the chain of narration all the way back to Moses. Show us the chain of narration all the way back to Moses.
So, okay, when you ask for a chain of narration all the way back to the scriptures that existed prior, you can't have that chain of narration because the revelation came at point X, right? So you're telling me to go back to point Q, point R, et cetera, right? What I want to tie is, and this is okay, by the way. So,
well, this is what you guys do with the Quran, though, right? You guys can solidify how the Quran is established and who helped memorize it and what the scribes were and why the Quran is authentic, right? Because you guys have some sort of solid chain of who knew what and who, which Hafs remembered what, and et cetera, right?
I want to tie it in for you, and then we can move on if that's okay. So the asterisk on all of this is the criteria that this live is setting to prove a scripture by not using other scriptures it claims to confirm is a little bit hard. So if you'd give me some latitude, I'd like to connect the dots
for you. Yeah, let's clarify for you because that's not the point. The point was not that you can't use the Bible, right? We're not saying don't use the Bible. What we're asking you for is for something authentic, right? And do you have anything authentic? Is everything that you guys are going to go to not an authority for you, and you're just going to throw it out when we read the latter part of the specific chapter or book that you guys bring up, right? So when we go later on down the line in that same chapter or in that same verse or in that same paragraph, you guys turn around and say, well, now it's not an authority for us. So we're saying,
You're stuck on this thing that we gotta throw it all out.
saying, one second. So we're saying, can you use something that you're not going to have to throw out when we try to read more of that? We don't want you to present something to us and say, hey, just read verse 13. And then when we read verses 14 and 15, you say, oh, well, we don't believe in that part, but 13 confirms our religion. That's what we're asking you for, bro.
Something we share in common is the term abrogation, but I won't get into that. I want to clarify that a scripture.
That's not a good argument, bro. You're gonna have to
reveal.
You're gonna have to assume.
We don't get an opportunity, brother.
Yeah, you're delayed.
Am I delayed still? Like,
yeah.
No, you're fine.
I'm not delayed. I'm not behind.
Like a second or two.
Yeah,
like
maybe
a
like
second.
2 seconds, maybe 2.5.
For real?
Yeah. See, you're responding late. Yep.
Oh, I see it now.
Some people saying I'm not delayed.
Yeah, you would have to assume.
It would be the people on the stage that would see the delay better than them. And I agree, it's about a 2-second delay.
So
they're thinking in the audience. They may be thinking you're delayed as far as like is your mouth on key. You're in sync, but you're delayed in listening to us. Are you listening to us through the phone or through the app again?
But I'm through the what's the name app? EasyCast.
He's getting a lot better now. That answer was a lot quicker than the other ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It's all good though. You was doing. It's all. It ain't that bad. It's not that bad.
I think we can continue to make progress.
I don't like to talk over people. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
No, so the thing here, Amir, is we're not talking about hadith. We're not talking about anything like that. What we want is the previous revelation that you're not going to use confirmation bias with, and we don't want to see you use circular logic anymore. And of course, we don't want to see you use the fallacy of false assumption. What we want to do is we want you to point back in history where we can see the actual Injil and the actual Torah. Where can we see that?
Well, you guys know better that we've already made the claim that the Injil in whole, in its original preserved value, does not exist today. So it would be impossible for me to confirm that based on that part of my core belief. So
hey, there we go. So just be
that's
honest.
Why I was saying
we can't do that. Amir, that's what I'm saying. There you go. That's the point. So just be honest and saying. Just say, you know what? Look, we can't do that because our scriptures that the Quran. One second. Just say that, right? Just say, look, you know what? We cannot authenticate Islam using previous scripture, the ones that Allah says He revealed, because they're corrupted and they don't exist.
No, it's not that they don't exist. They don't exist in a form that we could find them. So let me just kind of get this off my chest. And
why would Allah do that? Why would
they don't exist in a form that we can find them, bro? What?
Yeah, why would Allah do that? Why would He refer you back to scripture but you can't find them?
He said it's not. He said it's not that they don't exist because they don't exist in a form that we can find them.
I can't tell.
That's crazy.
What I meant by that, I'm talking
does that make sense that Allah tells you to go back to the previous scriptures?
That was happening to other brothers.
Hold on. But yet, in the same breath, you can't find it at all because it's been lost.
So, can I respond without getting cut off before I start up?
Yeah, I think you might have been delayed a little bit too, but go ahead. You good?
Okay, no problem. Sorry, I am a little far from my Wi-Fi. I walked away because I wanted it to be quiet so I can talk as best as possible. So, like the other brothers had subtly confirmed, but we kind of keep strawing away once it's said, we have fragments of truth that we accept, and it's not that we do not accept everything because we're cherry picking. It's that we confirm what our book confirms, right? So we're not the ones cherry picking. The book is doing it for us, and we believe that book came as a revelation from God
Amir,
to the
can I
angel
ask you-
to Muhammad. You know,
Can I ask you one simple question? What is the definition of confirmation bias?
like the literal definition.
Yes, the literal definition of confirmation bias. What is it? Wouldn't it be to read
I don't know like the
interpret
verbatim
something, put your-
definition.
Wouldn't it be to read or interpret something and put your interpretation in light of your worldview into the text? Isn't that a confirmation bias?
Sorry, come again, because I'm having a little bit of connection issue.
So if you were to read a text and interpret it, like in the Bible, you would interpret it according to the Quran, not according to the Bible, correct? To find out if it's true or not?
So, I think that's fair. I don't want to like lock myself in on that,
Well, that
but
is
just kind of like
exactly-
I want to read over.
So that by definition is confirmation bias.
Doesn't the Quran tell us to do that though? Look for the Quran or the previous.
Which I think is even worse. Your
guys.
God telling you to do confirmation bias.
Hold
if
on,
that's
Cosmos.
All right, I'm in. I want to jump in, guys. I want to jump in.
Hold on,
Go ahead, you
Cosmos.
guys
Hold
jump in.
on. You
Give me
the
1
last one
second.
on the stage. Hold on. Am I still delayed?
All right, so I'm gonna say one. As soon as you hear me say one, say it back. One.
One.
Yeah, you got about 2 second delay.
Oh, 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
Wow, that's crazy. All right.
Did you guys notice the prophetic word that was just uttered? Say one, and the Muslim says three.
Oh yikes!
So
That was
again, Amir, how would you be able to tell what is true and what is not in the Injil without using confirmation bias?
These questions, these parameters don't like align, man. You're telling me what I subscribe to can't be used to define what I can accept to what I subscribe to. What? There's a loop, man. Like it's
You're asking for something that's impossible within the belief system of a Muslim.
Do you guys really understand? Do you guys know what confirmation bias actually is?
I don't think
So-
you understand what Muslims believe as it pertains to Islam and
I understand what Muslims believe, and I understand that you believe your God has commanded you to do this, but do you understand what your God has commanded you to actually do, is what I'm asking.
literally in the Quran, right? Because we have to start there, because that's where we're sourcing the information. It says to like take what we have, and when it's confirmed, that means
You're
it's
using,
authentic.
you're using two fallacies into one. You
Okay,
do-
all right.
So your Quran, can I like it's Arabic? Can I, when I'm reading it, can I put a Western 21st century view into the Quran?
What is the 21st century Western view? Are you saying
Amir.
confirmation biases?
Amir, there's a prophet in Mormonism. His name's Joseph Smith. Can I read the books that he has said is from God and interpret the Quran in the light of the Mormon prophet and what he said?
Is that kind of a false equivalency? I mean, you don't think that
I'm
that dude
asking
is
you a
a
question.
It's not that it's a false equivalency. It's that our book determined
I'm
to us
asking you
that
a question.
it says in our book that it's like,
Okay,
quote unquote,
so
a final
just a
revelation.
second.
So
Just a
our book
second.
already told
Just
us
a
there'd be nothing to
second.
come after.
Just a second, Amir. I know you're getting hyper. So Mormons believe that
Whoa.
Joseph Smith is the last
No need for
prophet.
passive aggressiveness, man.
You're still speaking. Joseph Smith, Mormons believe he is the last and final prophet. he actually has a revelation that is not the Quran, not the Bible, or anything else. So, can I take that revelation that he has, his understanding of God and everything else, and can I interpret the Quran in the light of his revelation? Can I do that? Yes or no?
No.
So what about Elijah Muhammad with the Nation of Islam? How do we know he's not the final prophet?
No say, just a second. Why can't I do that, Amir?
So I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand you. You're asking me why Joseph Smith and Mormonism can't be added to like the revelation of the Quran, right? Because the Quran already determined there was a stop. The buck stops with the Quran. The Quran said that.
Again, why can't I interpret the Quran in the light of the revelation that Joseph Smith provided? Why can't I?
Because the Quran says it's the final revelation. Therefore,
I think I got your question. Sorry. Full. May I? Okay. The reason why you can't do that is because Joseph Smith, as far as I'm aware, isn't in the chain of narration. He doesn't have the Hafiz to teach the Quran. So the Quran can only be taught by people to people that have been taught the tradition.
Okay, can we apply that same standard to the Injil?
So
can we apply that same standard to the Injil? Is my question.
Is there a chain of narration on the Injil that exists?
I'm asking you a question. Can we apply the same standard to the Injil? Yes or no?
Oh, if it was still in existence, sure. And if there was a chain of narration, sure.
He didn't ask you that. He didn't ask you if. Stop being slick. He didn't ask you if it was still in existence. He asked you simply, can we apply that standard to the Injil or the New Testament?
And this is what they get. This is what they're not getting. Once they say that, they're breaking the chain. The chain that you're talking about, once you say the Injil is lost or corrupt or whatever, you're breaking this chain.
And the Quran says
20% of that chain is together. 20% of that chain.
The Quran says it was confirming the previous scriptures. And if you try to change and twist the word confirm, then you're going to have to deal with chapter 3, verse 39 and chapter 66, verse 12, where
y'all can't hear me.
The Quran also says.
I'm sorry. Why are you talking? Thank you. The word believe is confirmed. The words of Allah and his books. It's right here. I pulled it up in chapter 66, verse 12. It says, also Mary, the daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity. So we breathed into her through our angel. She testified, she confirmed the words of her Lord in his scriptures and was one of the devout. So here the word is confirmed that's being used. Same word that's used in chapter 3, verse 39, which Yahya then confirms, John the Baptist, right? And I'll pull up that for you as well. Here, chapter 3, verse 39. So the word confirmed cannot mean anything else but what it says here in the scriptures. Because chapter 3, verse 39, here's what it says. So the angels called out to him while he stood praying in the sanctuary. Allah gives you good news of the birth of John, who will come from the word of Allah and will be a greater leader, chaste and a prophet of righteousness. John, who will confirm the word of Allah and will be a great leader. So the Quran speaks about confirming the previous scriptures over and over again. Why don't you guys do the same thing and follow in your prophet's line?
Okay, all right.
Otherwise, at least admit that the Injil was available during the time of Muhammad and it got corrupted afterwards, even though you can't prove it. But at least for the sake of your own Quran, at least admit that the Injil was intact during the time of Muhammad.
So I don't think I've ever disqualified that. I don't have a good answer. I think somebody higher up than me to address that. But there is a possibility that the Injil was received by Muhammad and that could be via revelation or a physical text that was transcribed. We don't know what he had to reference.
It has to be.
The
When I say
Injil was
we, that
received by
actually-
Muhammad.
In chapter 7, verse 137, in chapter 7, verse 157 of your Quran, it says that your prophet, the unlettered prophet, is spoken of, right? Written, his name, or about him, is written in the books, the Torah and the Gospel, that's with them, and the word in the Arabic is with them. So what Torah and Gospel was with them physically during the time of Muhammad, where Allah can say that they can confirm Muhammad's coming by looking in the Torah and the Gospel that's with them?
So Muhammad got the Injil, huh?
So okay. So when we consider the revelation of the Quran, and it has stories of the mother of Jesus, Mary, stories of Jesus, peace be upon him, could we not basically substantiate that those could be considered things that could have been in the gospel? Is that not one way to interpret that? And those are the things we've received?
No, because we had the gospel since the time that it was written, and our unbroken chain of narration is church father after church father, history, history, archaeological history, corroborating witnesses, right? We have all of these testimonies, right, to say that what we have in our possession is what was handed down. And it was handed down through a free transmission, not a controlled transmission, because a free transmission, that means no one person had a monopoly on all the manuscripts where they can universally change whatever they want and put in whatever they want, right? But a controlled transmission is they had a monopoly on all of the manuscripts or the books, and then they change them universally to whatever they want. But no one person can do that. If you change something in Medina, doesn't mean it'll be changed in Mecca. It's just in Medina. But then that's why we have the amount of manuscripts that we have. So now that poses a problem for you guys, especially because the Quran, and I'll land it with this point, right? In chapter 66, verse 12 of the Quran, or chapter 66, verse 14, here's what it says. 61, verse 14, I'm sorry. Let me go there, and I'll end it with this, right? It says, "O believers, stand up for Allah, as Jesus, son of Mary, asked the disciples, 'Who will stand up with me for Allah?' The disciples replied, 'We will stand up for Allah.' Then a group from the children of Israel believed, while another disbelieved. We then supported the believers against their enemies, and they prevailed." So who prevailed, Amir?
So wait, you said 61:14?
Yeah, 61:14.
You said 61. So
Yeah,
61:14, as it reads here, is a little different than what you said. So I'm just going to read this quickly, and then we'll compare if it's different or if I just misheard you.
Okay.
"O you who have believed, be supporters of Allah, comma, as when Jesus, comma, the son of Mary, comma, said to the disciples, comma," and then it says in quotes, "Who are my supporters for the cause of Allah? The disciples said, we are supporters of Allah. We have believed in Allah and testify that we are Muslims."
Okay.
So that sounds a little different than what you had read. So I'd have to have you
yeah.
confirm what you read, and then we can discuss it a little bit more.
Okay, but here's the problem with your translation. The word Muslim is not there. You're reading the NIV version. I have the actual Arabic pulled up, right? So again, it says, "We will stand up for Allah." Then a group.
Wait, أنت بحكي عربي؟
No.
لا? Okay, so cool. So can you read Arabic? أنت بقرأ عربي؟
I have it highlighted. Yeah.
الحواريون
Yeah.
أنصار.
So you did the same thing that I did, to be fair, and I apologize for cutting you off, but I just wanted to point this out. You have a translation of what the Arabic could say, and I was reading what the Arabic could say. So
what the Arabic
okay,
could
though.
say, but it's
That's
not what
no
the
problem.
Arabic says. So it doesn't say Muslim though in the Arabic, right?
but how do you know if you don't read Arabic?
Because what's the word for Muslim in Arabic?
Muslimin.
Okay, now show me that word here. Where is it? Where is it in the English Read it in English for me. We will be Muslims, right?
We have believed in Allah and testified that we are Muslims.
Okay. It says the helpers of Allah then believed a group. Okay, so to the disciples who are my helpers, Allah, and the disciples, we, right? There's
نحن
Nahnun, the helpers,
أنصار
Ansaru
الله
of Allah.
فآمنت.
Where's the word Muslim then? So you have a bad translation, and now you have it's a corruption.
No, because I'm referencing what's in front of me.
Anyways, that's not my
the
argument.
case.
Yeah, well, so that's not my problem. That's going to be your problem. So you have a corruption in your own. So don't talk about the corruption of the Bible. Focus on this because
I never called the Bible corrupt this whole time.
But friend, now going back to my argument that you forgot now because you're focused on another point. It says we then supported the believers against their enemies, so they prevailed. So who did Allah support?
So I'm having to like think about your text because I don't have it in front of me. I'm better at reading. Is there a way you could put it? Is there a way you could put your translation on the screen so I can read it? If that's okay.
That's fine, man.
I have no problem admitting that I have trouble thinking about text. I have to read it and look at it.
Okay. All right, let me see.
All right, one second, y'all. 1 second, y'all. They saying they hear a reverb. Y'all hear a reverb in the audience? Somebody said they hear a reverb. After Albie finishes his point, we're gonna because y'all still haven't.
Word to be fair, I'm being gate kept from making the point because we can't establish the bridge. I'm not mad at you guys because it's okay.
All believers.
Hold on.
I'm saying I'm being gate kept from establishing my point. Well, we kind of keep getting drawn away. I'm not upset with anybody. I don't mean my bad if that seems like I'm throwing shit against the wall. I don't mean to do that. But let's address this and we'll try to get back to it.
Now we know.
Okay.
Hold on, real quick. We know that conversations evolve, and sometimes they spin out in there's different branches to one conversation. But the Albie is just trying to show you one thing real quick, and then we're going to get back to the topic of the room.
And the reason why I did that is because he can't say that our gospel has been corrupted. He has to say when, and that's going to be a problem for him, right? And then we can bring it right back to what it was. This is just the whole thing on Muslims have no ground to stand on but sand. Now it says right here, "O believers, stand up for Allah," as Jesus, son of Mary, asked the disciples, "Who will stand up with me for Allah?" The disciples replied, "We will stand up for Allah." Then a group from the children of Israel believed while another disbelieved. We then supported the believers against their enemies, so they prevailed. Who did Allah support?
What verse is this?
Chapter 61:14. Now focus, Amir.
Okay. So, as the text said that you were reading,
Who did
he
Allah
supported
support?
the believers, the group of believers, because
Beautiful.
he
And
separated
they're
believers and non-believers.
Beautiful. And they're the ones that prevailed, right? Right? Amir?
Yes.
Beautiful. What was the prevailing message of that first century?
I don't know. Go ahead, explain it to me so I can understand.
We have scholars, unanimous, agnostics, Bar Ehrman, people across the board that at least attribute 8 of 13 of Paul's letters to Paul in that first century. We have first century writings that date back to the first century, date back to the apostles. What was the prevailing message that we have in our possession? That Christ is who? King over all creation, the God who took on flesh, was put to death, buried, resurrected on the third day, ascended to heaven, and will come again. That's the believing message. That's the gospel message, and where peace between God and man is proclaimed in the name of Jesus Christ. That's been the only message. Now, if this is a true ayat, 61:14, then that means the Quran has been falsified by virtue of the gospel being intact and the message of the gospel.
Not not necessarily.
If you're saying that the message that I said is a false message of the first century and that it's a different message, then the Quran has been falsified once again, because here it says that the believers prevailed. It's a believing message that was proclaimed, the message of Jesus, right? Believers, they were believing in something, in a message. That message is what spread. So then, if you're saying that we don't have it intact and all we have are first century, Paul overcoming Allah and overcoming, these people and having him write down where his message was then put out there, then that falsifies the Quran again, because Allah says that he supported the believers over the unbelievers. Why was Paul's message the predominant message?
Can I jump in? Can I jump in? All right. I'm going to read you the correct version of that.
Hold on, Cosmosis. Let them finish, and then because we're going back to the topic. All right.
I don't mind conceding my position to let Cosmos take over, because he might have some information that I'm not in a position to provide.
I have the correct.
No.
I have the correct English transition.
Hold on, Cosmos. Cosmosis was in the chat yapping like he can do this.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Okay, so that's what we want.
Okay,
right,
first of all, let me correct. Let me correct.
That's what we want.
Okay, let me correct him. Let me correct him first.
Right.
All right. Okay, just calm down. Don't worry.
That's what we want. We want
Don't
you to,
worry.
to
Calm
verify
down.
this change.
I'm going to show it to you. But what the verse says: "O you who believe, be supporters of God, as Jesus, son of Mary, said to the disciples, 'Who are my supporters towards God?' The disciples said, 'We are God's supporters.' So a group of the children of Israel believed, while another group disbelieved. We supported those who believed against their foe, so they became dominant. They became dominant.
Exactly.
It's explaining a past tense during Jesus' time.
Brother Albie just cooked on this whole subject.
Jesus, by 600 years,
what he said, it doesn't help it.
It does help me.
Brother Albie just cooked on this. He just went through this. Just because you're repeating, that doesn't. It's not helping.
No, the verse that he stated was showing as a present tense at the moment. It's not a present tense. It's a past tense.
So you missed my argument, genius. My argument is that if the prevailing message was Paul's message, that falsifies the Quran, because it's Paul's message that we still have in our possession today, that dates back to the first century during the time of Christ.
And what we're saying is that message was corrupted.
Okay, then you're corrupting your own Quran, because your God did not support the believers over the unbelievers, because the unbelievers prevailed over the believers. Therefore, you falsify your Quran, genius.
According to this ayah, genius, it's saying
and you break your chain.
We'll get to that, bro. We're going to get to that.
You're proving the point right now. What you're doing right now, Cosmosis, is you're proving the point.
No,
you're breaking
I'm not.
Your own chain.
Stop throwing dirt at the wall, bro. Let me tell you. This paragraph states that at the time there was a correct, that they followed Jesus, and he gave power and dominance to the believers. But the Quran is saying, what we're saying is that throughout the last 600 years between Jesus and the coming of the Quran, that there was corruption.
Okay, so we have
Okay,
in our
now you just
possession
threw dirt
today.
on your Quran.
Hey,
You
well,
talking about I'm throwing dirt on the wall. You're throwing dirt on your Quran.
exactly.
That's what you're doing.
No,
He just,
because
he
okay,
just,
where?
Cosmosis,
Okay.
you just buried yourself.
Okay.
Because number 1, chapter 3, verse 55 of the Quran says that they will have the upper hand until the day of resurrection. Number 1. Number 2, scholars unanimously across the board date 8 of 13 of Paul's letters back to the 1st century. That's unanimous.
Okay, what's chapter 355?
Listen to what I just said.
No one believes you're Paul, bro. Chapter 355.
I never said I'm. Hey, I never said I'm Paul. Okay.
I said
So
you're
listen,
Paul.
so do a little more listening. Stop listening from your pleas and listen with your ears.
Listen.
All right. So now with that, now listen. Now with that being said, we have in our possession Paul's letters that date back to the 1st century. Do you agree that Paul's letters date back to the 1st century?
No.
Show me a scholar that agrees with you. Yalla, let's go.
What do you mean?
Show me a scholar. Let's go. I'm done with your conjecture. Show me a scholar. Pull them up. I don't care. Hey, I don't care about your opinions. I take your opinions and I wipe my ass with it. Now go get me. Go. Hey, listen. Hey,
everything about you guys are wrong.
Give me a scholar. Give me one scholar right now.
Let me jump to the chain.
Give me a scholar right now. Give me a scholar.
No one believes it.
Give me a scholar right now. Stop the conjecture. Stop speaking from your pleas. You're gonna start bringing facts.
There's not a single scholar.
We'll take a hike, Cosmosis. Give me a scholar right now. Let's go.
It's been rewritten by 1,000,
Give me a
10,000
scholar,
people.
يا حمار.
انت حمار. انت واحد
يا
كلب.
حمار ابن كلب. Go get me a scholar right now.
Let me break the chain, bro.
Give me a scholar right now.
All right, fellas.
Where'd that come
Let
from?
me break the chain.
Hold on. Everybody, hold on. Calm down. Let's get back to level-headed. All right, let's get back level-headed.
Well, then that means we can't be Muslim. Then. So Muslims don't be a Muslim.
We need you to be Muslim. Please join us. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Mute them.
All right, hey, watch your language, bro. Watch your language. Come on now. All right.
Answer me one question, Christian boy. Why is it that the Jewish people are not allowed to pray in the church, but
Who cares about the Jewish people? Take a hike. Go be a Jew. Go be a Jew. Nothing. Go be a Jew. If you hold them in such high esteem, go be a Jew. Get out of here. Talking about Christian boy. I don't like how you said that either.
Nah, that wasn't cool.
I'd like to just interject for like 30 seconds here. So the facts are facts. This is what's important, right? Because none of these Muslims that are coming up on the panel are actually scholars, right? So it doesn't matter what they think the verses say. It's what the scholars say the verses say, right? The ones who've dedicated their whole life studying the Quran. So
Habibti, I made that point. They didn't accept it.
But the scholars are not in your favor.
All right, I'm just going to keep going, Amir, okay? So the classical scholars, up until 10th, 11th century, didn't deny the Bible. They didn't claim for it to be corrupted. They didn't say that it was rewritten. And Allah is telling Muhammad and the Muslims to go to the scriptures, right? So your Allah can't possibly be guiding these people to go to a corrupted scripture. And none of the classical scholars believe that the scriptures are corrupted. The reason why the narrative switched, right, is because around the middle of the 10th and 11th century, the Bible was being translated to Arabic and it was being widely spreaded in the area. And people started reading the Bible in Arabic. And this is when they realized that the Quran actually isn't confirming the previous scriptures. It actually 100% absolutely contradicts the whole thing. So instead of them saying the Quran is corrupted, what they did was to protect their power structure and their own religion. They turned around and said, oh, the Bible is corrupted. And ever since then, your scholars have been shoving it down your throats. But you have no proof. Because if you say that the Bible was corrupted before Muhammad, that means that your Allah was sending you guys to a corrupted book and he had no idea that the Dead Sea Scrolls were going to surface. And if you say after Muhammad, there's no way you can absolutely prove it. So either way, you're losing. The Quran is false. That's what this proves. It's not an Abrahamic faith. Simple.
So, isn't the technical term Bible referring to the book that was distributed? I want to say, I can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the canonized version was distributed.
Either you're ready
after
to
the 10th
say,
century.
Amir, either you're ready to say that your Allah was sending you guys to a corrupted book, or that your Allah didn't know that the Dead Sea Scrolls was going to surface.
No, don't.
But you can't
First
have
of
your
all,
cake and eat it too. This is all about facts, right? Because everything, you guys are not the only ones with the chain of narration, okay? So it all comes down to what you're willing to do. Are you willing to throw your Allah under the bus? Or are you willing to say, you know what? The Bible is not corrupted. It's your choice. Either way, you're losing. You're not going to win.
That's Habibti. You're choosing my arguments for me and trying to
No, I'm not choosing anything from you.
No,
These are
you did,
literally
though.
facts. And that's why
You did.
these
You didn't
brothers are
let me go ahead
saying,
and,
Amir,
Yeah.
we've been sitting here listening to you for the last 30, 45 minutes. We know your argument. That's why you've been busted so many times. Now,
to be fair, it wasn't just me. Albie had his
hold on.
part in it, and so did others. I've only been
I'm just
chiming in when
saying, we
spoken
know
to.
your position. Amir, we know
Sorry, go
your
ahead.
position already. We know your position. So she's telling you your position is faulty and it don't line up with Islamic history. All of the earliest scholars don't believe that the Torah and the Jew was corrupt. This is what she's telling you. You're going against your earliest scholars, the ones that you find authoritative. This is what Sister Sajida is telling you. Now, you already said you cannot prove that the Islamic chain is intact from the previous scriptures. If you can do that, please provide evidence for it.
I just want to make sure I'm okay. So
Yeah, I mean, I left the door open.
you asked me a question, but I still wanted to address something she said. No problem. Sorry. I think we still have a little bit of a delay, so I apologize for any pause on my side. I just wanted to address something she
you
said.
only got
She
one bar.
made the claim that like the Bible that. Yeah, I think it's my connection. So the Bible that we supposedly disclaim is one that was distributed after the 10th century. I want to say it was approximately in the 12th century, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have an exact time frame on that. I would still need somebody who's a little bit, more educated. And I want to say that the printing press, the Gutenberg, that was like in the mid 15th century. So the Bible that supposedly she was talking about, that when we changed our narrative, would be the more modern day. If what she said was true, that scholars before the 10th century, sorry, was someone gonna come in? I just wanted to wrap this up. So the one supposedly from like the 10th century, if we were to confirm it and say, okay, it wasn't corrupted, doesn't mean it didn't. I feel like
no say you got a bad connection. No say.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna sit down for a second, just because it seems like he's got something to say. I'm not gonna be able to make my point. I'll mute.
No, he's a little behind. He have a bad connection. That's why.
but he needs to sit for a little bit. I think he needs to sit.
He still needs to sit down for a little bit, huh, sister?
Yeah, we got jokes. Go ahead. I'm all for being funny, by the way, as long as we can be productive.
Nah, we lighthearted here, bro.
Yeah, that comedy made about the 10th century is insane. I don't know what.
Hey, no say you might have to mute and unmute, bro, because you got a bad signal. There you go. It look better now.
What do you mean by that?
Brother,
So 09, are you Muslim?
Yes.
I can barely hear you. Can you speak up?
Yes.
All right, Quran,
Yes.
Quran.com. You got a bad signal too, bro. What's up, Quran? You wanna prove that the Islam chain isn't broken?
Well, we have biographies of the actual scribes that wrote it during the lifetime of the prophet. You guys don't.
Okay. Hold
Well,
on real
well,
quick. Hey, Life, handle this real quick. I'm gonna eat my dinner real quick.
yeah, man. How many people that's for on that plate, man?
Wait, what are
Oh
you
man,
eating
you
at?
see my plate?
Somebody hooked him up right. I saw that plate. Somebody hooked him up.
Why y'all plate watching me, man? Why y'all plate watching
Hey,
me,
what's in
bro?
your plate? Word.
Hey, man, that plate took up the whole screen,
Man, I got some
man.
chicken strips and some fries and some toast, with a side
Look,
of gravy. You know what
Hey,
I'm saying?
that's a plate, bro. Hey, but hey, hold on. Is that gravy? Is that gravy vegetable or meat based?
he set that plate down
Oh
like we
man,
didn't
come
see
on,
it.
that's that pork gravy. That's that
Oh,
pork gravy.
bro, come
Now I'm
on.
just saying.
Hey, you did that on purpose so we couldn't share, bro. You already knew I was gonna ask for one.
Oh man, no, I'm just
Yeah.
playing with
All
you,
this
bro.
talking
It's
made me
just regular
hungry.
white gravy, man.
Okay, my bad. All right,
Go
back
ahead,
on
man. I'm gonna
topic.
eat. I'm gonna turn my camera off and I'm gonna eat real quick, man. Y'all go ahead with it.
All right.
Like,
Quran.com. What was your response to the prompt up there?
First of all, we have biographies, full biographies of many scribes that lived and heard and memorized the Quran from the Prophet, peace be upon him, and then wrote it down. And we know these people, right? We know everything about them. You guys don't
Oh,
have that. You
the
don't have
chain.
anyone.
Yeah, no, the chain. So the chain we're talking about is not the chain in connection with who you know as far as how your Quran was established in written form. We're not asking for that. We're talking about where are your guys' chain, just like how you just tried to establish how you have all this ample evidence of how you understand the Quran and its compilation to be solidified. We're asking you for that same information for the scriptures that he also said that he revealed in the Quran. So, i.e., the Torah, the Injil, Abraham's scriptures, the Psalms, etc. So, the same, way that you just tried to authenticate the Quran, can you do that for the other scriptures he claims to have revealed in the Quran?
Not even you can.
Well, it's not about whether I can. Don't throw the ball back on my court. I'm actually passing it to you to see what you can do with that.
So the Quran is clear, right? These revelations were revealed to people and delivered to those people for that time, right? With specific laws, right, for those people. They're long gone, right? The Quran is a criterion that touches on these.
What do you mean they're long gone? What do you mean? Can you detail long gone for me?
They're long gone. They're gone. We don't have them in their original form. All we have.
So because you don't have them in their original form, that means they're long gone. You don't have copies of it.
They're long gone. Yeah, they weren't meant to be preserved. The Quran is meant to be preserved.
Wait. No. You don't have copies of it, and nowhere can you show me where your Quran says they weren't meant to be preserved. But at the end of the day, do you have copies of them?
Remember, they keep all hadiths, even if they're daif.
Even have anything from Jesus's day, let alone.
That's not the question that I asked you though. I'm asking you, do you have copies? So you don't have the originals. That's great. That's not that doesn't remove.
We don't need them. We don't.
That doesn't remove the text from still being here. Do you have copies of the originals?
We don't need them. We don't follow them. Why would we have copies?
I didn't ask you. Are you hearing a different question?
No.
Quran, are you hearing? No. I'm just being serious. Are you hearing a different question?
I'm answering your question. Did
I ask you if you need them?
We don't have them.
All right, no. Let's just go through a series of yes or no because we got to spoon feed Muslims and take them back to first grade.
I just answered your question.
Okay, no. Okay, did I ask you if you needed them?
No.
Okay, now I'm asking you, do you have copies of them? Since you don't have the originals, do you have copies of the original?
No.
Okay, so you have no evidence for what was previously revealed. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Okay, so when did all of this evidence just disappear? Remember, your Quran says that the Torah is from Allah, the Psalms are from Allah, Abraham's scriptures are from Allah. The gospel is from Allah. And you're saying every single thing that Allah has revealed has all disappeared.
No, the Quran remains.
I didn't mention the Quran in those four. I'm saying
think I
in
just lost
regards,
brain cells.
yeah, well, in regards to those four that I just mentioned.
No, they're not. They're not available in their original form.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you: is it available? Period. Or do they exist? Is it disappeared?
No.
Well, the answer would be yes. The last question was, did they disappear?
Well, you shotgunning, so I mean, I'm catching with both hands, my feet. My pockets are already full.
Well. You're acting as if you're not really hearing me, so I'm trying to give it to you the best way I can without confusing you.
Let's go.
So I'm asking you, do they exist? The four scriptures we just talked about, do they exist?
No.
All right. We can't read them anywhere.
No.
Okay. Now, when did all of these scriptures disappear?
I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, in your Quran, chapter 7, 157, it says that Muhammad could be found in the Torah and the Injil. His description can be found. And also, chapter 10, verses 94, says that if Muhammad was in doubt, he should refer it back to the people of the scriptures before him. So we know that if Allah is not being inconsistent, right, he wouldn't tell Muhammad to refer back to scriptures that don't exist, right?
That's correct. But you're missing a big part of history, right?
What am I missing?
That's that there are almost, till today, and we can find them today, there are almost 300 scriptures available from back then. Your New Testament only touches on 27. This is what you lack.
We're not talking about what I have. We're talking about what you have. Remember,
you don't have it.
I'll just take your word
you
for
don't
it.
have these.
Wait, hold on, real quick. No, say, let me finish off real quick, because I can tell this me and him are not gonna last long because of what he just said before.
300 scriptures are available.
Just a couple of minutes ago, what he said before. This conversation not gonna last long.
You guys only have
listen, Quran.com. Quran.com. Quran.
You asked me a question. You want to finish, please? Respectfully.
Quran.com.
You asked me a question. Why can't I finish?
I'm actually completing my statement.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I did not ask you about what I have. Try to refrain from going to stop
about what you have.
Stop. I'm talking about stop trying to go back and to get me to defend my position for the scriptures I do claim to have. This isn't about that.
It's not about you, bro.
This is about you proving. This is about you proving that your Quran actually confirms.
I just did, but you won't let me finish.
This is about your Quran actually confirming what it says it confirms. But you just told us that those scriptures no longer exist. You can't find them. So how in the world can we verify that your Quran lines up with those four scriptures that you claim don't exist anymore?
Because just like the scriptures you have in the 27 books in the New Testament, there are almost 300 in total, right, that you guys are unaware of. You don't have them. You only have 27 of them. If you go to earlychristianwritings.com, you can see all kinds of scriptures from back then that are remnants, which is what you have. But you only have the Greek mythology version of the story.
This isn't okay. I'm gonna tell you one more time that the conversation is not about me proving whether my scriptures or what I claim to have is valid. I'm asking you. Okay, so point me. Okay, so you point me to how you can verify that your Quran, your scriptures, match with the previous scriptures that Allah claims to have revealed.
If you let me finish, you will see that I'm trying to show you that you don't have the whole story.
This is a complete idiot. You're out of here. You're done. Get out of here.
So my question to you, Life, is in Surah 546, does it not say that Jesus confirmed the Torah? Which means that if there's a 1400-year gap between Moses and Jesus, there was no corruption in those 1400 years. So if Allah could preserve them for 1400 years, what happened after that?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we can get a Muslim that can actually follow the conversation, because he's trying to show me he can prove what it is that I'm asking for by doing the exact opposite. The moment he opened his mic, he continuously went back to what I told him to not go to. And honestly, I love this. I love this conversation is because it literally shows them that we're right. The moment they open their mouth, they're proving that we're right. We don't have anything. So the first thing that they try to do is pull us down into their court. They try to say, well, look, we don't have it, but look, you don't have it as well. Now, stop talking to me about how I don't have it. And now let me talk to you about how all of the evidence, all of the thousands of manuscript evidence that you have, that you can present to me, let me just see all of that and deny it and say, nope, none of that is true. While they themselves literally have nothing. You have nothing you can point to except for stuff that you're going to have to throw out the moment we read in context what that passage is about and what the scriptures in itself teach.
Life really quick.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's an impossible challenge, Life, man. This is an impossible challenge.